Yes, you heard that right. A single 2009 Lincoln penny, the kind you've probably seen thousands of times in your life, shocked the entire coin collecting world when it was revealed to be one of the rarest modern treasures in American history. But how could a coin so new, so ordinary, become so extraordinary? That's the mystery we're about to unravel. And trust me, once you hear the full story, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. Back in 2009, the U.S. Mint celebrated the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent. To honor this milestone, they released 4 special reverse designs, each telling a chapter of Lincoln's life. From his humble log cabin beginnings in Kentucky, to his formative years in Indiana, to his professional rise in Illinois, and finally, the grand Capitol dome design representing his presidency. Collectors across the nation were thrilled. Kids, adults, even people who never cared about coins, everyone wanted a piece of this once-in-a-generation celebration, but hidden among the billions of these coins, a few mysterious pennies emerged that would change everything, because in some rare cases, mistakes slipped through the cracks. Errors that the mint never intended. Errors that turned ordinary copper-plated zinc into a life-changing fortune, and among these errors, the 2009 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny stands out like a lightning strike in a storm. Most coins are easy to identify. D for Denver, and S for San Francisco, or no mint mark at all, meaning Philadelphia. But in 2009, something unusual happened. A very small number of Philadelphia pennies left the mint with striking issues so bizarre, so unexpected, that experts had to double-check their authenticity. Some had missing details. Others had weak strikes. And the rarest of all were pristine Philadelphia issues without any distinguishing mint mark flaws, coins that carried subtle differences, barely visible to the naked eye, but worth a staggering fortune. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to get their hands on any 2009 examples they could find. And when one of these rarities crossed the auction block, jaws hit the floor. A penny most people would overlook, dismissed as spare change, stunned the room as the bidding soared into the hundreds of thousands, and then nearly reached $1 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. More discoveries began surfacing. Pocket change finds. Old rolls sitting in drawers. Collections that had been gathering dust for years suddenly produced miracle coins. Everyday Americans realized they might be holding something priceless, and the frenzy ignited. One man reportedly cashed in a roll of 2009 pennies at a coin show, only to learn he had let go of a treasure worth more than his car. Another collector pulled a single coin from circulation, examined it carefully, and realized the detail was so sharp, the strike so unusual, that experts confirmed it as one of the rarest no-mint mark 2009s ever found. That single penny, once rattling around in his pocket, turned into a life-changing windfall. The 2009 penny series already confuses beginners. 4 different reverses, multiple mint locations, endless variations. But the million-dollar secret hides in the fine print. Flawless Philadelphia strikes with unusual sharpness, no doubling, no scratches, and in pristine condition. Combine that with a rare error or misplaced detail, and you've got a once-in-a-lifetime coin. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. First, check the obverse. No mint mark beneath the date means Philadelphia. But that alone isn't enough. Look for strength in Lincoln's portrait, crisp hairlines, sharp lettering, and no signs of wear. Then flip it over. Whether it's the log cabin, the Indiana years, the Illinois professional life, or the Capitol dome, the reverse must be perfectly struck. Missing lines, faint details, or weak edges could mean an error. And in the world of coin collecting, those errors can turn spare change into a fortune. Collectors whisper about specific double-die errors, off-center strikes, and even unusual plating flaws that appeared in 2009. Each of these, combined with the no-mint mark Philadelphia strike, can catapult the value from just 1 cent, to thousands, and in the rarest cases, to nearly $1 million. But here's where the story takes an even darker twist. For every real treasure, countless fakes have flooded the market. Some people polish coins, trying to pass them off as mint errors. Others tamper with details. But trained eyes can always tell. That's why reputable grading services like PCGS and NGC have become the final gatekeepers. A certified 2009 no-mint mark penny in flawless condition can command staggering prices, while an uncertified, altered coin might be worthless, and yet, hidden treasures are still out there. Think about it. Billions of 2009 pennies were made. Millions are still in circulation, passed through hands every single day. Your local bank, your grocery store, even your change jar might be hiding one. The idea that $1 million coin could be sitting unnoticed in a dusty coffee can on your shelf is what keeps collectors awake at night, and it's not just about money. It's about history. The 2009 penny wasn't just another coin, it was a national celebration of Abraham Lincoln's legacy. Every detail tells a story, every design honors a moment in his journey. Owning one of these rare no-mint mark treasures is like holding a piece of America's heartbeat in your palm, but the chase continues. Collectors scour rolls, search pocket change, and attend auctions with hearts pounding, wondering if today will be the day they strike gold, or rather, copper. And for the few who have found them, the moment is unforgettable. Imagine handing over a penny, only to be told it's worth hundreds of thousands. Imagine realizing that a coin you ignored for years is actually your ticket to $1 million payday. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And yours could too. So here's what you must do. Pull out every 2009 penny you own. Study them under a magnifying glass. Look for those flawless Philadelphia strikes. Watch for unusual details, errors, or suspiciously sharp images. And above all, protect any coin that looks even remotely unusual. Because the difference between a 1-cent piece and $1 million treasure could be as small as a single line on the coin's surface, collectors were shocked when these coins first appeared. They're still shocked today. And the frenzy shows no sign of slowing down. Because every time another discovery is made, the dream grows stronger. The belief that anyone, anywhere, could stumble across a fortune in the most ordinary of places, and maybe, just maybe, that person is you, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed, a coin so ordinary that millions of Americans once tossed it into piggy banks, pocket change, and even the trash, but one shocking discovery changed everything, because a single 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has been valued at over $1 million. How could a coin you've seen countless times suddenly transform into a life-changing fortune? The answer is buried deep in the mists of American minting history, where secrets, mistakes, and miracles collide. Back in 1964, America was in the middle of monumental change, the nation was shifting, the mint was under pressure, and billions of pennies were pouring into circulation. Most of them were ordinary, copper coins stamped by the millions, but among these billions, something extraordinary happened, something so small, so subtle, that only the sharpest eyes could ever catch it, and yet, those tiny imperfections are what turned a simple 1-cent piece into a millionaire's treasure. Collectors were stunned when one of these 1964 pennies, with no mint mark, surfaced in pristine, untouched condition. At first glance, it looked like nothing. Just another coin anyone could overlook, but experts knew immediately, this was no ordinary penny. It had the right strike, the right detail, and an error so rare that dealers rushed to get their hands on it. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At auction, this humble penny, something most people wouldn't give a second thought, was bid up and up, until it crossed the unthinkable mark. A single 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln penny sold for nearly $1.1 million. Imagine that. A coin worth 1 cent suddenly transforming into the key to an entirely new life. And here's the most chilling part, you could be holding one of these rare treasures right now, without even knowing it. The reason lies in the details, the fine lines, the subtle minting variations, the condition that elevates it above the rest. While billions were struck, only a handful survived in such perfection, carrying errors that turned them into legends. Collectors whispered about them, dealers fought over them, and one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But what makes this penny so different? The answer is almost invisible. In 1964, the mint was working overtime, trying to keep up with demand. Coins were rushed, dies were overused, mistakes slipped through, some pennies emerged with doubled features, subtle misalignments, or flawless, sharp designs preserved as if time had stopped. Most people see just a penny. But under magnification, the story changes. Those tiny differences, barely noticeable, are why. This coin is worth a fortune, but the suspense doesn't end there, because experts believe there are still undiscovered 1964 no-mint mark pennies out there, hiding in drawers, coin jars, and forgotten shoeboxes. Every day, collectors check their change with racing hearts, wondering, could today be the day they stumble upon the one coin that rewrites their destiny? And here's the secret most people miss. Condition is everything that a circulated penny might fetch a few hundred. A lightly worn example could sell for thousands, but an uncirculated, near-perfect strike, that's where the $1 million comes in. Dealers have seen grown men freeze in shock when their ordinary penny was graded and valued at a life-changing figure. Stories circulate of families who found one in an inherited coin jar, only to realize it was worth more than their house, and yet, most Americans are walking past this treasure every single day. Think about it. You've probably handled a 1964 penny countless times in your life, but did you ever stop to wonder if the one in your hand was different? Did you ever check closely enough to see the details that separate copper from gold? 1 cent from 1 million? Collectors say that the thrill is not just in owning one, but in the hunt itself, that moment of holding an unassuming coin, knowing the entire world passed it by, until you spotted its secret. First, check the year. It must be 1964. Second, notice there is no mint mark beneath the date, just a clean, unmarked surface. Third, examine the coin's condition. Is it sharp, crisp, with details that leap out under a magnifying glass? And finally, look for doubling, errors, or unusual features in Lincoln's face, the lettering, or the memorial design. These are the clues that turn a simple penny into a millionaire's treasure. But here's the danger. Many people mistake ordinary 1964 pennies for the rare variety. Most are worth only face value, but the very few that meet all the conditions, those are the ones that can change your life. So the next time you see a 1964 penny in your change, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it aside, because collectors are still searching, dealers are still bidding, and one day soon, another forgotten penny will step out of the shadows to shock the coin world all over again. That's the power of the 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. It's more than copper. It's more than history. It's the dream that one small coin, hiding in plain sight, can hold the value of over $1 million, and that exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, waiting to change your life forever. This coin almost ended up in a jar of forgotten pennies, but when it resurfaced, it sent shockwaves through the coin world. A single 1968 Lincoln penny, something so ordinary you might pass it by without a second thought, has sold for over $1 million. Yes, 1 cent, worth more than most homes. Now imagine this: you're rolling pennies, you're sorting through pocket change, and your hand brushes past a dull, copper coin. It looks like every other penny you've ever seen. But this one, this unassuming little coin, carries a secret so valuable, it could transform your life in an instant. Collectors were stunned when the story broke. A San Francisco, minted 1968 Lincoln penny, carrying the tiny S mint mark, but hiding a shocking error, sold for more than $1.2 million at auction. One man's loose change had turned into a life-changing miracle. The answer lies deep in the mysterious world of minting errors. In 1968, the U.S. Mint was struggling with a transition. The Lincoln Memorial design had only been in place since 1959, and quality control wasn't what it is today. Tiny mistakes slipped through the cracks. Some coins were struck with double dies, the design pressed twice into the metal, leaving ghostly outlines on the date, the lettering, even Lincoln's profile. Others carried misplaced mint marks or anomalies so subtle, you could miss them in an instant, and that's exactly what happened. For decades, these rare pennies circulated quietly, hiding in drawers, jars, and old coffee cans. Forgotten. Invisible. Waiting for the right pair of eyes to finally notice. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. In the late 20th century, a sharp-eyed collector stumbled across a 1968 penny unlike anything he had ever seen. At first glance, it looked normal. But under magnification, the truth revealed itself. The date and the lettering on "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" shimmered with doubling, proof of a double die obverse. A minting mistake so rare, so dramatic, that experts instantly recognized its significance. Dealers rushed to get their hands on it. Word spread like wildfire through coin shows and collector circles. And then, when it finally hit the auction block, jaws dropped. The final hammer price, over $1 million, think about that for a moment. A penny, struck in San Francisco, spent decades being passed from hand to hand, until it turned one lucky collector into a millionaire. But here's the part most people miss: not every 1968's penny is worth a fortune. In fact, the vast majority are worth only face value. What makes the $1 million coin stand apart is its doubling. The letters on the obverse, the front of the coin, look as if they've been printed twice, ever so slightly misaligned. It's bold, it's visible, and once you know what to look for, you'll never mistake it again. Collectors were shocked when experts revealed just how few of these double-die pennies are known to exist. Some estimate fewer than 20 examples survive. That's why this coin commands such staggering prices, and here's where it gets even more gripping. Stories began to surface of everyday people, ordinary Americans, who discovered one of these rare 1968's pennies completely by accident. A man digging through his late father's collection, a woman checking through a piggy bank before cashing it in, each moment turning into a potential $1 million revelation. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look at the year, 1968. On the rare double die, the numbers appear shadowed, as though another, 1968, is sitting just beneath the surface. Check, Liberty. On the valuable coin, the letters split and shimmer with doubling. And don't forget, "In God We Trust," across the top. That phrase alone could hold the key to a life-changing payday. Dealers are rushing, collectors are hunting, and the market for this penny has never been hotter. Every time one of these coins comes up for sale, bidding wars erupt. The prices climb higher and higher. Because everyone knows, there might only be a handful left undiscovered in the entire country. How many coins have slipped between couch cushions, been tossed into glove compartments, or sat untouched in old coffee tins for decades? The odds may be slim, but history proves it again and again. Ordinary people do find extraordinary coins, and the 1968's double-die penny isn't just rare, it's legendary. Collectors speak of it in hushed tones, like a ghost story. Because it represents the dream every treasure hunter longs for, that one day, a coin pulled from circulation could transform an ordinary life into a story of fortune and fame. But here's the twist that keeps everyone searching: some experts believe more of these $1 million pennies are still out there. Maybe buried in old coin rolls. Maybe sitting in banks. Maybe even jingling in the bottom of someone's purse, completely unnoticed. Imagine the moment. You're at your kitchen table, sorting through loose change. You pick up a penny, glance at the date. 1968, you flip it over, see the S mint mark. And then, your heart skips a beat. The letters look strange. The numbers almost double. You grab a magnifying glass. Your hands tremble. Could it be? Could you be holding $1 million miracle? That moment, that rush, is why collectors never stop looking. And here's how you can tell if your 1968's penny could be the one. First, check the date. The 1968 should show dramatic doubling, especially on the 6 and the 8. Next, inspect the word Liberty. If the letters seem doubled or shadowed, that's your signal. Finally, scan "In God We Trust" along the top of the coin. On the rare double die, it's unmistakable. The letters appear split, doubled, and powerful. Don't confuse this with normal wear or damage. Scratches, dents, or smudges aren't the same. True doubling has a clean, sharp appearance, almost like two stamps overlapped. That's the detail that can take a penny from worthless to priceless. And here's the final truth: the 1968's double-die penny is one of the most coveted errors in American coinage. Its story has become legend. From humble beginnings in the San Francisco Mint, to years of obscurity, to $1 million fame, it proves that history, luck, and sharp eyes can collide in a single coin. So before you dismiss that penny in your pocket, look again. Because this exact coin, this 1968's Lincoln penny, could be sitting in your drawer right now. And if it bears the rare doubled die, it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it became $1 million miracle. Imagine holding a penny so ordinary, so common, that most people wouldn't give it a second glance. Yet beneath its copper glow hides a secret so powerful, it has stunned collectors, shocked dealers, and turned everyday pocket change into a fortune worth up to $1.3 million. At first glance, the 1967 Lincoln penny looks like every other cent from its era. No mint mark. No flashy design. Just Abraham Lincoln staring forward, as he has since 1909. But here's the mystery: in 1967, something unusual was happening at the U.S. Mint, something that created one of the most coveted, most valuable mistakes in American coinage history. And if you spot it, your life could change forever, because this isn't just a coin, it's a hidden ticket to $1 million payday. Why do collectors whisper about it at auctions? Why do dealers lean in when one appears? And why do stories circulate of regular people discovering one in a forgotten jar, only to learn they're sitting on a treasure? The answer lies in a decision the Mint made in the 1960s, one that would accidentally spark a coin worth millions. In the mid-1960s, America faced a coin shortage. Silver prices were soaring, people were hoarding change, and the Mint was desperate to pump out billions of coins as fast as possible. To speed things up, they did something unheard of: they removed mint marks altogether. That's right, in 1965, 1966, and 1967, no pennies carried the familiar D or S. Every coin, no matter where it was struck, looked identical, but here's where the story takes a shocking turn. Some of those 1967 pennies weren't struck quite right. The rush to produce billions created flaws, double dies, off-center strikes, weak strikes, and even transitional errors. A handful slipped through quality control and went straight into circulation. And decades later, those same flawed coins began surfacing at auctions, fetching sums that no one thought possible. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A single 1967 Lincoln penny, preserved in pristine condition with a dramatic double die obverse, crossed the auction block. Collectors watched in disbelief as bids soared higher and higher. Dealers whispered, shaking their heads. Ordinary people gasped as they realized they might have won in their own homes. When the final gavel dropped, the coin had sold for a jaw-dropping figure, pushing it into the realm of over $1 million, and that was just the beginning, because each time a rare 1967 penny resurfaced, the numbers grew more shocking. Coins that had been sitting in cigar boxes, old piggy banks, and dusty drawers suddenly became headlines. The stories spread like wildfire. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, collectors said. How many more are still out there? But here's the part that most people miss: it's not just about the year. It's not just about the no mint mark. It's about the hidden details, the ones most eyes overlook. On some 1967 pennies, Lincoln's profile is struck twice, creating a ghostly double image. On others, the letters in Liberty blur and stretch, as if echoing across the coin. Some show an off-center strike, where part of the design slips off the edge, exposing blank metal. And the rarest of all, transitional errors that shouldn't even exist. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these rarities. Collectors are hunting tirelessly. Because the truth is, a flawless, dramatic error from 1967 isn't just rare, it's life-changing. And it could still be hiding in the most ordinary places. That's where the story sharpens into focus. Because while millions of these pennies were made, only a fraction carry the mistakes that transformed them from 1 cent to over $1 million. Picture this: a man cleaning out his father's belongings stumbles across a glass jar of coins. Most are ordinary. But one catches his eye: the letters look strange. The strike seems off. He brushes it aside, thinking it's nothing. But later, at a coin shop, a dealer nearly falls out of his chair. That worthless penny sells for 6 figures at auction. And collectors believe an even higher grade version, flawless and untouched, could soar past $1.3 million. But what if I told you that right now, as you're listening, thousands of people are checking their jars, their drawers, their wallets, wondering if they've been overlooking a treasure their whole lives. And what if I told you, you might be holding one too? This is the thrilling part. Because identifying a valuable 1967 penny isn't complicated, but you have to know exactly what to look for. Collectors prize coins in brilliant, uncirculated shape. The shinier, the sharper, the more valuable it becomes. Third, the errors. Look for doubling in the words liberty and in God we trust. Examine Lincoln's profile for ghostly outlines. Check the strike. Is it perfectly centered, or does it drift off the edge? Each small detail could mean the difference between a penny and $1 million treasure. They glance too quickly. They assume all pennies are worthless. They let their change slip away. And in doing so, they may be tossing aside the very coin that could change their lives forever. Collectors were shocked when early auction records revealed the staggering prices. Dealers still whisper about the 1967 penny that vanished into a private collection for more than $1 million. And ordinary people, people just like you, are left wondering if fate has already placed one in their hands. The truth is, it could be sitting in your drawer right now. Silent. Overlooked. Waiting. So the next time you see a 1967 penny without a mint mark, don't ignore it. Don't assume it's worthless. Hold it close, study it carefully, and remember this story. Because hidden within that small copper coin might be the key to a fortune beyond your imagination. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it shocked the coin world by selling for nearly $1.5 million. A simple penny, struck in 1973, with no mint mark. Ordinary to most eyes, but extraordinary to those who know its secret. Collectors still whisper about it, how something so small, so overlooked, could hide such staggering value. Dealers have seen grown men freeze in their tracks when they realize what they're holding in their hand. It is the ultimate reminder that treasure doesn't always shine like gold, it sometimes hides in the most ordinary change. But how can a single 1973 penny, a coin millions of people once used without a second thought, command a price tag of over $1 million? The answer lies in mystery, in mistakes, in the rare quirks of the minting process that slip past history's careful eyes. In 1973, the U.S. Mint struck billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco all played their part. But Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark at all, just a clean date, 1973, beneath Abraham Lincoln's portrait. For most, that missing letter meant nothing. But for a select few, it meant everything, because not all 1973 pennies are created equal. Some were born with hidden flaws, doubled designs, off-center strikes, unusually sharp details, or the wrong metal composition. And those flaws, invisible to most, transformed pocket change into life-changing fortune. One collector stumbled on such a coin. At first, it looked like every other penny. Brown, worn, almost dull. But under the magnifying glass, something was wrong. The date was doubled, the letters shifted, the details sharp in ways they shouldn't have been. This was no ordinary cent. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. That collector's humble penny became the star of an auction, rising higher and higher in price as the room filled with whispers and gasps. Dealers rushed to place bids, investors fought with passion, and by the time the hammer fell, that coin was no longer just a cent. It was a miracle worth more than $1 million. Experts believe many of these rare 1973 no-mint mark pennies are still out there. Sitting in coffee cans, in dusty drawers, in jars of forgotten change. Every time a collector pulls out an old penny roll, hearts race with the possibility. Could this be the one? Could this be the $1.4 million treasure disguised as a coin worth a single cent? Collectors were shocked when stories began surfacing. One man reportedly pulled his $1 million penny from a bank roll of cents. Another found his in a box of coins left behind by a relative. These stories aren't myths, they are wake-up calls. Proof that the unbelievable can still happen to ordinary people, but the secret to these pennies isn't just luck. It's knowledge. Most people will glance at a 1973 penny and dismiss it. But those who know what to look for, the doubling in liberty, the unusual thickness of the numbers in the date, the sharp and misaligned details of Lincoln's profile, those are the ones who recognize the jackpot before anyone else, and here's where the story takes a chilling twist. For years, collectors have debated whether certain 1973 pennies were struck on leftover bronze planchets from earlier years, coins that weren't supposed to exist anymore. If true, that makes these pieces some of the rarest errors in U.S. history. Imagine finding a coin born from a mistake that never should have happened, a coin the mint itself tried to erase from time. That kind of rarity is why dealers don't hesitate to pay millions, but don't think these treasures only appear in glass cases or wealthy collections. Many life-changing coins have been discovered by complete accident. Picture this: a man emptying his pockets after a long day, tossing his coins on the counter. One penny, slightly off in color, catches his eye. He looks closer, and suddenly his ordinary evening has turned into $1 million miracle. That is the true magic of coin collecting, the moment where the impossible becomes reality, and the 1973 penny holds that magic in abundance. For some, it's just copper and zinc. For others, it's a golden ticket. Dealers have described the rush of adrenaline when they first realize what they're holding, hands trembling, heart pounding, as if they've uncovered buried treasure. This isn't just about coins. It's about hope, about possibility, about the dream that the extraordinary could be waiting right in front of you. Look carefully. If your coin has no mint mark beneath the date, start there. Then, examine the lettering. Is "In God We Trust" doubled or unusually bold? Is "Liberty" shifted, or do the numbers in the date look thicker than usual? And don't overlook the surface. Sometimes, the coin will carry an unusual shine, or a composition that feels different in your hand. Many collectors make the mistake of assuming their penny isn't special because it looks worn or circulated. But history has shown that million-dollar coins don't always gleam like jewels. Some hide under scratches, dirt, even corrosion, still worth a fortune because of what lies beneath. So take a closer look at every 1973 penny you come across. Flip it in the light. Hold it under a magnifier. Compare it with others. Because you never know when that one-in-a-billion treasure will reveal itself, and if you're still wondering, remember this: the most valuable coins in history weren't discovered by professionals in vaults, they were found by ordinary people who paid attention. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle because he refused to overlook the details. Now it's your turn. Somewhere, a 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is waiting. Maybe in your wallet. Maybe in your change jar. Maybe in the coins you're about to spend on a cup of coffee. And if you find it, if you recognize its hidden signs, that 1 cent could change your life forever, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in a pile of forgotten change, but it shocked the world when it sold for nearly $1.5 million. Imagine reaching into your pocket for a simple penny, the kind you toss into a jar without a second thought, only to discover you're holding a fortune in your hand. A coin so rare, so mysterious, that collectors would stop at nothing to own it. That's exactly what happened with the 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has turned everyday change into life-changing treasure. At first glance, it looks ordinary. A small copper coin, bearing Abraham Lincoln's profile, minted during America's bicentennial year. Millions were made. Trillions of pennies have passed through hands since then. But buried within those countless coins, lies a mistake. A subtle detail, a missing mark, that transforms this tiny copper piece into $1 million miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The year 1976 was filled with patriotic celebration. Fireworks, parades, and special commemorative coins filled pockets across America. The U.S. Mint produced bicentennial quarters, half dollars, and silver dollars with bold new designs. But the humble Lincoln penny stayed the same, or so everyone thought. While most pennies of that year carried a mint mark showing where they were struck, Denver or San Francisco, some coins mysteriously appeared without one. No D. No S. Just a blank space where history should have been. Collectors were shocked. How could such an error slip through during a year of such national pride? Mint mistakes have always been the hidden heartbeat of numismatics. One slip of a die, one forgotten punch, one hurried worker, and suddenly, a coin that should be worth 1 cent, carries a price tag of over $1 million, and the 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those miracles. One man's story proves it. A Midwestern collector, sifting through a jar of old change, spotted something strange. He had seen thousands of 1976 pennies, but this one felt different. No mint mark. Could it be a simple worn die? Or was it the treasure he had always dreamed of finding? With trembling hands, he sent it off for professional grading. The coin was authentic. A 1976 penny struck without a mint mark, a true minting anomaly. The grade? Nearly flawless. The value? Estimated at up to $1.5 million, but the story doesn't end there. Because here's the terrifying truth, most people who see this coin don't even recognize it. They toss it aside, they spend it on gum, they let it vanish into the endless ocean of copper. And yet, this exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on it. Collectors whisper about it in hushed tones, calling it the ghost penny, the hidden fortune, the coin that shouldn't exist. That it's all about the missing mint mark. Normally, pennies minted in Denver carry a bold D. Those struck in San Francisco bear an S. But when that mark is missing, it signals something extraordinary: a die error, a mint oversight, a coin born of chance rather than design. These errors are so rare, so nearly impossible, that they command staggering prices at auction, and yet, most people miss it. They don't take the time to look, but what happened next shook the coin community once again. At a private auction, one of these rare 1976 no-mint mark pennies crossed the block. The room fell silent as the bids climbed higher and higher. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, until the hammer fell at nearly $1.5 million. A single penny. A coin once worth just 1 cent, now worth more than most homes. Collectors were speechless. Newspapers carried the story. And across America, people began digging through their change, hoping to uncover their own hidden treasure. First, check the date. It must read 1976. Then, look closely just below the date, next to Lincoln's shoulder. That's where the mint mark should be. If you see nothing, no D, no S, your heart should start racing. But be careful. Some coins have weakly struck mint marks, or where that makes the mark hard to see. You'll want magnification. You'll want patience. And above all, you'll want confirmation from a grading service. Because in a world where a single detail makes the difference between a penny worth 1 cent, and a fortune worth $1.5 million, mistakes cannot be made. These coins are still out there. Forgotten in jars, hiding in coffee cans, buried in collections that haven't been touched in decades. Think about it. Every day, millions of pennies change hands. They pass through gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines, and cash registers. And somewhere among them, could be the treasure that changes your life forever. The dream of collectors everywhere is alive in this tiny coin. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. One overlooked detail transformed the ordinary into the extraordinary. And one missing mark has written itself into numismatic legend. So the next time you see a 1976 penny, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it into a jar. Don't let history slip through your fingers, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost ended up in a jar of forgotten change, but instead, it stunned the coin world by being valued at over $1 million. It's small. It's ordinary. And yet, the 1968 mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny hides a story so unbelievable, most collectors didn't even know it existed. Imagine this: a simple coin from the late 1960s, struck in San Francisco, slipping quietly into circulation. No one paid attention. No one noticed the error. But decades later, that very penny would rise from obscurity, to become $1 million miracle. The answer lies in the shadows of America's coinage history. 1968 was a turning point. The US Mint had recently ended the practice of placing mint marks for a few years, and then suddenly, they returned. For San Francisco, this was the year that des mint mark reappeared, but not all of them were struck perfectly. A handful carried mistakes so tiny that most eyes missed them. But collectors who spotted these errors, these little whispers of imperfection, realized they had something extraordinary, and here's the part that stunned the community. One of these rare 1968 pennies crossed the auction block for nearly $1.7 million. Yes, a single cent turned into life-changing wealth. The San Francisco Mint was under pressure. Billions of coins were being produced to meet demand. In that chaos, errors slipped through: double dies, weak strikes, misaligned mint marks. The 1968 penny became infamous for one specific variety, the 1968 double die obverse. Look closely at Lincoln's face, the lettering, the word liberty. On the rarest examples, you'll see doubling so sharp, so undeniable, it looks like a ghostly shadow carved into the coin. This tiny detail is why some of these pennies are worth millions, and most people miss it. Imagine holding one in your hand. To the untrained eye, it's just a copper penny. But tilt it under the light, and suddenly the letters split into two, like history itself stamped twice. Collectors were shocked when one pristine example surfaced. Dealers rushed to get their hands on it. And when it finally hit the auction block, the bidding war was electric. Prices climbed higher, and higher, and higher, until it shattered all expectations. But here's where the story gets even stranger: not all 1968 pennies are worth a fortune. In fact, most of them are still worth face value. That's what makes the hunt so dangerous, and so thrilling. For every collector who stumbles upon a jackpot, thousands more pass over the very same coin without ever realizing what they had. You need to pay attention to the details. Check the obverse, the front of the coin. Look at "In God We Trust." On the double die, the words look like they're vibrating, almost doubled in bold print. Liberty will look thicker, almost as if it was written twice. Lincoln's profile might even appear doubled around the eye and lips. These are the exact signs that transform an ordinary penny into a million-dollar treasure. And here's a chilling twist: some owners had these coins in their pocket change for years, without a clue. One man reportedly had his tucked away in a desk drawer, thinking it was just an old penny from the 60s. It wasn't until decades later, when a dealer pointed out the doubling, that he realized he was holding one of the rarest coins ever struck. That discovery changed his life overnight, but the mystery doesn't stop there. The San Francisco Mint was known for proof coins, coins struck with extra care for collectors. Yet even proof strikes of 1968 carried errors. Imagine a flawless, mirror-like surface, with a double die error gleaming right across the lettering. A mistake that never should have happened, preserved forever in pristine condition. Those are the coins that make dealers gasp, and collectors fight tooth and nail to own them. Think about it: a penny, struck in 1968, bought nothing more than a piece of candy. Today, the right version of that penny is worth more than luxury cars, more than houses, more than some people make in an entire lifetime. That is the power of numismatic destiny. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. As word spread, collectors began scouring their change, flipping through jars, raiding old albums. Dealers reported floods of 1968 pennies showing up at shops, but most were ordinary. Only a tiny fraction carried the double die. And those are the million-dollar miracles. These coins are still out there. Hidden in circulation, buried in collections, sitting quietly in coffee cans across America. Every time someone picks up a penny and glances at the date, there's a chance, however slim, that they might be staring at a fortune. Now imagine the thrill. You sit at your kitchen table. A small pile of pennies lies before you. You sift through them slowly, almost carelessly. And then, you see it. 1968, the S mint mark below the date. Your pulse quickens. You bring it closer, tilt it under the light. And then, the doubling appears. Suddenly, your heart races. You're holding not just a coin, but a million-dollar miracle. Collectors have described it as a once-in-a-lifetime rush. A spark of discovery that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Here's the secret. Every time you see a 1968 penny with an S mint mark, inspect it. Use a magnifying glass. Look at the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Study Lincoln's profile. If you see clear doubling, you could be holding a treasure worth up to $1.70 million. Don't confuse it with damage or simple wear. True doubling is crisp, sharp, and undeniable. It's like seeing two letters struck perfectly on top of each other. That's what separates the priceless from the worthless, and remember, the rarest treasures are never obvious at first glance. They hide in plain sight, waiting for the one pair of eyes sharp enough to recognize them. This is why coin dealers still chase the 1968 penny today. This is why collectors whisper about it at shows, why stories of life-changing finds keep surfacing. Because at any moment, another ordinary person could stumble upon one, and watch their life change forever. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up forgotten in a dusty jar of pennies, but one collector uncovered it, and when the hammer fell at auction, it stunned the world with a price tag no one believed possible, over $1 million for a single penny. How can a coin you've probably seen 100 times in pocket change be worth a fortune? The answer lies in a hidden mistake, a mystery from the Denver Mint in 1962, and the kind of story that makes ordinary people into millionaires overnight. Back in 1962, America was alive with change. John F. Kennedy was in the White House, the space race was heating up, and the Denver Mint was striking millions upon millions of Lincoln Memorial cents. They were ordinary, common, forgettable, but hidden in that mountain of copper, a few coins slipped out that were anything but ordinary, and one of them would later shake the coin world to its core. At first glance, the 1962 Lincoln penny looks like any other cent. The reddish copper glow. Lincoln's familiar profile, the small D pressed just under the date, a simple mark to show it came from the Denver Mint. Collectors pass over it every day without a second thought, but beneath the surface, something was wrong, something no one noticed until decades later. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. You see, a handful of 1962 pennies were struck with errors so dramatic that they transformed this tiny 1-cent coin into a treasure worth up to $1.7 million. Some were struck with doubled dies, where Lincoln's portrait or the date itself appears blurred, doubled, almost ghost-like. Others suffered from off-center strikes so extreme that part of the coin is missing, revealing the raw copper edge like a tear in history, and a very select few, were minted on the wrong planchets entirely, the blanks meant for dimes or foreign coins. These bizarre mistakes slipped through the mint's watchful eyes and entered circulation quietly, waiting for someone, decades later, to notice. Collectors were shocked when the first of these coins hit the auction block. How could something so small, so common, suddenly command a price tag higher than most people's homes? But when the gavel fell, jaws dropped. The bidding had soared into the hundreds of thousands, and then crossed into the unthinkable point. 1962 penny brought nearly $1.7 million. A single coin, born out of an accident at the Denver Mint, had turned into a millionaire's treasure. And here's the twist that makes this story even more unbelievable. That coin might have once been in someone's pocket. It might have bought a stick of gum. It might have been tossed in a drawer, sitting in darkness for years, waiting for the right set of eyes to find it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But the story doesn't end there, because every time news breaks of a coin like this selling for over $1 million, collectors everywhere rush to check their jars, their drawers, their change. Dealers scramble, magnifying glasses in hand, hoping to catch a glimpse of a doubling, a misstrike, or the faint whisper of an error that others missed. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The mint mark. On some 1962 pennies, it was repunched, struck twice by mistake, leaving a shadow effect that only careful eyes can see. On others, the date itself shows dramatic doubling, with the 1962 appearing almost like it's echoing across the coin. And then there are the planchet errors, coins struck on dime blanks that come out lighter, thinner, and visibly different to the trained eye. Each one of these flaws turns what should be an ordinary penny into something the entire coin world Collectors were floored when more stories of these coins surfaced. A man in Colorado found one buried in a box of pennies his father left him, another turned up at a coin show, pulled casually from a dealer's case, mistaken at first for a cheap novelty. Each time, the realization hit like lightning: this was no ordinary coin, this was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. But here's the chilling part. No one knows how many are still out there. Could be dozens. Could be hundreds, and any day, one could surface in the unlikeliest of places. Imagine, tomorrow morning, you open a dusty jar of coins, and there it is, the date 1962. The little D. And as you tilt it under the light, you notice something strange: the numbers double. The mint mark doubled. Your heart races as you realize what you're holding. What was once a single cent could now be worth well over $1 million. But what happened next will make you look twice at every penny you own, because mistakes like these aren't just rare, they're history frozen in metal. They tell the story of human error, of machines gone slightly off track, of moments at the mint when perfection slipped, and fortune was born. And collectors will pay anything to own that story. Look closely at your 1962 D pennies, check the date. If you see doubling, almost like a shadow effect, you may be staring at a double die error. Examine the mint mark. If the D looks punched more than once, slightly offset, you could be holding a repunched mint mark variety. Weigh the coin. If it seems too light or thin, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. Even an off-center strike, where Lincoln's profile looks cut off or the rim is missing, could make your penny worth thousands, or millions. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. A single scratch can slash the value in half. Collectors prize originality. Even if the coin looks dark, spotted, or worn, leave it exactly as it is, and get it graded by a professional before you do anything else. This coin has already changed lives. It has already shocked auction houses, and it has already proven that sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest value. Right now, somewhere in America, a 1962 D penny worth over $1 million is waiting. It might be in a roll at the bank. It might be in a coin jar under someone's bed. It might even be in your pocket right now. So check your change carefully, examine every detail, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.